Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to Authentic Black Goddess TV. I'm your host, QueenAShakur, and this is the second dose of your daily vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at QueenAShakur. Also, you can follow the QueenAShakur fan page, and you can find me on Twitter at DGoddess27. Hello, Ayon, N Night, Felicia, Asha, Trisha, J Black, Eileen, Just Biz, Vetta's daughter, Lulu, Judah Queen, Ayala, C Mommy Mac, Terry Hinton, The Conscious Room, Ben Cephas. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, Nicole, I see you. Fight for Black is Black. Erica, okay, Pearly, Queen Shay. Let's get into it, people. Shout out to everyone in the chat and everyone tuned into the Queen. Okay, so now listen to this. I'm going to show a video of the first report about this nefarious cop. I'm going to show a video so those of you who hadn't heard anything about it, because there was actually over 100 cases that were dismissed. And I reported on this maybe a month or so ago, I think. Over 100 cases tied to disgraced former Chicago Police Department Sergeant Ronald Watts, vacated. All of these cases were vacated, thrown out, right, due to his nefariousness. Kim Fox, Cook County State's attorney, said dozens were involved in 134 cases. So I'm going to share the screen, and then we'll talk about these other cases that have recently come to light that he's also connected to that are going to be thrown out. Muting my mic for a second.
Fox is usually prosecuting suspects for crimes, but today it was the opposite. She vacated convictions of 19 men and women who her office says were wrongfully convicted, victims of former Chicago Police Sergeant Ronald Watts and his crew, who allegedly framed hundreds of residents at the former Ida B. Wells housing complex. Most served time in prison.
This is a sorrowful, sorrowful moment, knowing that these individuals will never get that time back in their lives.
Watts was convicted in 2012 and sentenced to almost 2 years in prison. Many of those he framed for drug and weapons crimes served time in the early 2000s.
Sergeant Watts and his corrupt crew savaged the community. They decimated brown and black men and women, a whole generation of them. And the city of Chicago let it happen.
The Exoneration Project has worked with the state's attorney's office to determine which convictions to vacate. Most have the signature of Watts on the police report.
Sergeant Watts believed that the people who lived there had lesser value and wouldn't be believed.
Many of the officers who worked under Watts are still on the force, and many of those who were falsely convicted have struggled.
Having a conviction off your record really makes a difference for housing, for employment, and just for a individual feeling of justice.
It's extraordinarily meaningful for them.
The state's attorney's office plans to vacate the convictions of 60 more people involved with Sergeant Watts and his underlings next month. In the meantime, their attorneys say they would like to see some of those officers charged.
First of all, I don't understand why the officers weren't charged. They should have been charged right along with Watts. But I want you all to pay attention. Now, you see all those black people standing there that he did that to? Those were black people that he did that to, his own people. Clearly a coon and a buffoon, a whole plantation pappy. And with that all being said, that's the reason I go in on these coons. Because one thing about it is this. These coons are just as nefarious, if not more so, than the wannabe supremacists. Because we expect the supremacists to hate on us, to want to tear us down, bring us down, commit genocide, falsely accuse, levy war against us and all of these things. We expect them to do that. We know their history. But when you have people that look like you out here doing these things, and it's easier for them to do it because they can infiltrate any organizations that you have. You remember, it was black people who infiltrated the Black Panther Party for self-defense. Okay? So it's these coons who are the most and worst detriments to our community. Okay? So when you have people in the chat, when I'm going in on these coons, and you have people in the chat saying, oh, let's not tear down other Black people, honey. Coons are not Black people. That's what you need to realize. They're not literally Black people, because what they really are is wannabe supremacists cloaked in Black skin. They're in Black face. Okay? They are skin folk, but not kin folk. That's what these devils are. And they have to be called out on all accords. They have to be called out because they continue to be a detriment to us and work against us in everything we do. And let's not forget, it is the coons who sit up there with the politicians, right? And they say, we don't need reparations. And the ones that are saying those things, most of them are not even foundational Black Americans. And of course, they're going to say, we don't need reparations, because that would not even include them, because they're not foundational Black Americans. Now, for those of you who are Black immigrants in the chat and watching, I'm not talking to all of you, but I am saying, and we all know that there are absolutely some Black folk who are not foundational Black Americans who think that simply because they're not from here, that the rest of us don't deserve reparations. If I lived in Jamaica and they were trying to offer reparations to Jamaicans, do you think that I would be saying, oh no, they don't need reparations? Of course they deserve reparations. Black people all over the globe, no matter where you were enslaved at, you deserve reparations, because we all went through it. So if I'm living in a foreign country, just because I'm not birthed there, I'm not going to be talking against other Black people trying to get their payment that's due to them for hundreds of years when every other group has gotten it, right? And even some people whose atrocities didn't even happen on American soil. So make that make sense. I'm just saying. So anyway, let me continue before I just go into a rant. Okay, because y'all know how I do. Now listen to this. So in reference to the case that I just talked about, the aforementioned case, it says another 19 convictions tied to a corrupt Chicago cop are also being tossed. So they say, we were able to provide the relief to right the wrongs of the past, but make no mistake, this is a sorrowful, sorrowful moment. Knowing that these individuals won't get the time back. Well, we already heard Kim Foxx say that. So they say in 2013, Watts was sentenced to nearly 2 years in prison for stealing thousands from an FBI informant posing as a drug dealer. He was released in 2015. CNN could not immediately reach Watts for comment on Tuesday. The Cook County, he was a whole thug. First of all, he sat up here and framed and set up all these Black people for drug charges. And then in 2013, he goes and robs an FBI informant that was posing as a drug dealer. Yeah, he's a common criminal. He's no better than the people that he was out there arresting. Okay? But he thought he was. Now, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office said it will not oppose petitions filed by 48 more people involving 54 cases, requesting their cases be dismissed as part of the office's ongoing review. Those actions will be divided across 2 court dates, February the 8th and February the 16th. And I intend to be keeping you all updated on that. So this is just all crazy. It's just all crazy. And they said that Watts and his team operated a protection racket that involved planting evidence and fabricating charges against Southside residents, while at the same time facilitating their own drug and gun trade, according to the Exoneration Project, a free legal clinic at the University of Chicago Law School. So they were out here selling drugs themselves and selling illegal weapons. This is the police that were doing this. Now, my question again is, why is Watts the only one who went to prison? Why didn't these other devils who were working, and some of them pay attention, are still working at the police department, still at the Chicago Police Department? How is that possible? Talk about corruption. Now, I'll probably take a guess. I'll take a guess and probably say that Watts, they didn't mind sending him up the river because he's Black. That's what his cooning behind gets. He got what he deserved. But those other cops who were working with him, I guarantee you some of them were Caucasian. And that's why they're not being prosecuted. And absolutely, I believe that's why. Now, I'm not saying some of them weren't Black, But I guarantee you that the rest of them didn't get prosecuted because of the Caucasian ones amongst them. I guarantee you. Because that's how it goes. That's how they roll. So anyway, Vince I Am says, who are the other police officers? Haitian Levy says they would drop off guns in the alley. Hold on. Vince says, who are the other police officers? Sounds like they were male. Of course they were, beloved. Okay. Original Copper American says, call up and file complaints. That's not really going to do nothing. Haitian Levi says they would drop off guns in the alley in the hood in Chicago. Absolutely. I know they would. I know they would, Haitian Levi, because let me tell you something. Years ago, I want to say it was 2017 or 18, somewhere around there, right? I think it was 2018. I actually did a live on Facebook before I came to YouTube. I did a live stream on Facebook where I was talking about that someone from Chicago specifically said that they would drop off these crates of guns in the alleys. And this particular person said that 6 o'clock in the morning, in the a.m., his friend came knocking on his door and said, man, you're not going to believe this. All these guns in the alley in a crate. So they go there and they see the guns. And these are not just regular guns that you would purchase at a gun shop. These were exotic guns that most people wouldn't even be able to get a hold to. And he said that everyone in the neighborhood just about had a gun, even 14 and 15-year-old kids. So they absolutely dropped those guns off. How does a crate of guns end up in a hood? Okay, how does that even happen? And then let's not forget, it was a couple of years ago where they found a rocket launcher in a Chicago hood. Now, fortunately, the person who found it turned it in, much to their disdain, I'm sure. Turned it in, and then they came up with this cockamamie story talking about the Chicago police must have dropped it. It must have fallen out of the back of their SUV. You think I believe that? You mean to tell me you got a whole rocket launcher that I'm sure costs thousands, right? Upon thousands. You got a whole rocket launcher and you don't make sure the SUV is secured so it doesn't fall out? No, I think they left it there hoping that somebody would use it to do some more black on black crime. But at the end of the day, the person turned it in. And I also heard, by the way, those shootings that they were having every weekend, right? That those were not black people doing that. They would say gang related. No, they were saying those were racist white folk and some of them cops, allegedly is what people were saying. And that they put on derrick suits and posed as black people and committed those drive-bys. And you know why I believe it most significantly is because one weekend on one of the reports I did, they shot at least 70 plus people. So many people were shot that weekend that they couldn't even take them all to the same hospital. They had to take them to various hospitals. You think that was black people? Black people don't just go around committing mass shootings like that in hoods. Now, you might have a drive-by every now and then where maybe 2 or 3 people get shot, but over 70 plus people, you're going to tell me that was black folk did that? I don't think so. Okay? That's not no gang violence. At least not the gangs that we see in the hoods. That sounds like the gangs that are within police departments. That's all I'm saying. That's how it sounds to me. That's my opinion, honey. So anyway, that's just also nefarious and clearly crazy. And I don't believe anything that the Chicago police has to say. I don't believe anything they have to say. Because you still have the same thugs, the same criminals working at the police department who set up these other people who worked with Watts. Why weren't they fired and charged? I'm just curious, right? So anyway, El Monroe says, too many unsolved mysteries. Absolutely. Okay, Greg says, miss me with that shite. Absolutely, beloved. Okay? So with that all being said, Deidre says, why does regular officers have a rocket launcher? That's a good question, beloved. I was wondering the same thing. I said, why do Chicago police even need a rocket launcher? Make that make sense. And then you're going to be so callous and careless with it that you drop it off the back of an SUV? Oh, please, okay? All I can say is, people, remember the Iran-Contra scam, all right? How the U.S. funded the drug trade and all of that at the expense of black people and talking about a war on crime, a war on drugs. No, it was a war on us, as it always has been and still is, all right? And someone just put in the chat, genocide. I didn't see who said that, but yes, absolutely, that's what it's for. Genocide. Terry Hinton said that, absolutely. So with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. Listen, I'm going live right now, immediately following on the original Queen AmadaShakur show, because we have got to talk about India Ari saying that she's boycotting Spotify over Joe Rogan's race comments or whatever. And then don't forget, after that, on the same channel, immediately following, we're going to talk about Michael K. Williams, his overdose death, 4 people arrested in connection. Okay, Betta's daughter says this shot is crazy. I'm getting ready to play my flute music and get ready for bed. Okay, peace and blessings to the Queen and family. Peace and blessings to you, beloved honey. I listen to a Native American flute music as well when I sleep. So with that all being said, you're welcome, Tracy. So with that all being said, be in forever says only white cops think like that. Rocket launchers. Yeah, what are you gonna do with a rocket launcher? That's absolutely crazy, right? So anyway, I hope to see you all in the next chat. Please like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so, click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time I go live. And I'll see you in the next chat. Peace.